This is the Tea with NSP podcast.
Hi, and welcome back to the loudest LGBTQ+ student-produced podcast, The Tea with NSP. I'm Morgan, co-chair of National Student Pride and third year at King's College London. This podcast came to be to share some incredible stories from pioneers and students alike about growing up in the queer world and finding out who they, and you, are. This podcast and our 2021 festival would not be made possible without the support of our sponsors. Santander have been a major supporter of NSP since 2017 and this year are silver sponsors for the event. Their LGBTQ+ network, Embrace, has thousands of members in the UK alone and was recognised as a top 10 employer at the 2019 LGBT Awards. Thanks, Santander! I have some super exciting topics to introduce today with the crazy talented RuGirl, Divina de Campo. Divina discusses LGBT politics, Section 28, her life at the University of Manchester, and exactly how she grew her love of drag. Stick around to hear my lovely voice again in the outro, and of course find out which queer pioneer is our special guest for episode 3. Remember to subscribe and enjoy the Tea with NSP and Divina de Campo. Now, should we get stuck in?
Hi guys, welcome to the podcast. This is a new podcast by National Student Pride. I'm Rhys James and this is my good friend,
David.
Lovely. David, would you like to tell the listeners what we're doing here today?
So the podcast this year is all going to be about people's experience between that ages from 18 to 22 and you kind of finding out who you are, go to uni or not, and basically just how that went.
Fab. Sounds literally the best. Right, today you listeners have got a very special guest. From a judge on the BBC to a contestant on the BBC, RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 1, in my eyes, the winner, Divina de Campo.
Oh, there's going to be murders! There's going to be bloody murders!
I'll get angry DMs.
Easy one to start off with, Divina. What was it like? You walk into that workroom, you're Season 1. What is that experience like?
I had the brownest knickers you've ever imagined in your life after I'd stepped into that workroom. It was just a good job that I had 4 pairs of tights on. That's all I'm going to say.
Keep it all open.
Notice I didn't sit down.
You did storm around a bit, but I was wondering what that was about.
You know, shake it out.
Maybe stink.
What did you know who was going to be there when you walked in, or was it a kind of surprise?
No. They keep everything absolutely top secret. So you're in a hotel, but you don't see each other. You don't know that each other is there. You are kept. It's like lockdown, really. You're kept in your room. You're not allowed to leave. Like you cannot leave your hotel room without having somebody with you. Yeah. Oh no, it's real. It's hardcore.
That's
madness.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you could not hear Bag of Chips at some point in that hotel room?
I
refuse to believe.
I didn't hear her, but apparently somebody did hear me.
It's that laugh, isn't it?
I mean, who would have thought?
Did you know that like RuPaul was going to do it as well? Like, did you know all that stuff that RuPaul and Michelle Visage were going to do this UK version?
Yes, we knew that because it actually on the initial advert for the applications, it said that RuPaul and Michelle Visage would be judging. And then also in the press that was happening to kind of generate those applications, it was confirmed that RuPaul was going to be judging on the show. So we knew that. We didn't know who anybody else would be, though. So we didn't know that it would be Alan Carr or Graham Norton.
So let's, I guess, kind of take it a wee bit back. So Divina de Campo, I guess before she was even Divina de Campo, 16-year-old, going right back, yeah. What was your like experience like in that kind of last years of school as part of the LGBT community? Like, what was it like?
Yeah, you know what? The year 11 of school actually was really great. Like, I still had problems with people outside of our year group, but generally inside of our year group, everybody was really supportive of each other. And it hadn't felt like that, you know, year 8, year 9, year 10, didn't feel the same as it did once we were in year 11. Obviously, people still had like disagreements and stuff, but it, as a year group, for me at least, because I was one of those, like, I had a friends group, but I would float over and hang with other people, and you know, so we felt, for me particularly, it felt much more kind of cohesive as a year group, rather than, you know, they're the sports kids, those are the music geeks, and I was clearly a music geek, like absolutely one of the geek kids. And I hadn't even realized I was a music geek until my best friend James was like, we were such geeks, weren't we, hanging around in the music department. I was like, I was not a geek. Oh my God, I was a geek. Oh no.
So did you know you were gay in school?
Oh my God, yes. I was the flaming camp row of tents, like running around the school. Oh, here we go. My ears are alive with the sound of penis. Oh. Like, I was that gay. I was super gay. All I needed was like a rainbow stripe down my face to be more gay. Yeah, I was the screaming queen of the school. And I've always been like that. You know, it's not something that I've ever, I wasn't trying to be that. I just was, and I just am. So it was, you know, like some guys, when they finally come out, it's like they put on all of those things because I want you to know I'm a homosexual so I can suck your dick. Ah, yes. Like, it wasn't like that for me. I just was like that. I am the cliche. I've always loved Barbara Streisand and Judy Garland, and went to ballet class, and I was in every choir, and I was in the orchestra. And is that a musical theatre production happening? Oh yes, I'd love to be in that. I'll be the lead in everything, but I can't be the lead because I'm so gay. So I'll be the supporting act instead. You know, like, I was that gay. So yes, I was absolutely out at school. I came out at about 14.
See, weirdly, all the exact same. Actually, we've just done with like Share Your Story campaign thing that we're doing at Student Pride, and I just did mine, came out at 14 as well, but I was like the opposite. I could pass a wee bit, you know, if you scratch that surface, it was rainbow spurt out, but like, I'd pass a wee bit. And then we were telling Reese this before, actually, that I realised I wanted to be a lawyer. Don't know why. And I realised I wanted to be a lawyer by playing one in drama. And I was like, should probably
really great at this.
Yeah, I love running around a courtroom, and it's like,
I get to wear a wig. Yes, and a big black dress. I love it.
Safe to say, I don't work in the law, not at all. Oh. So, what did you end up doing in uni?
I went to Manchester Metropolitan Uni, and I did drama and dance. It ended up being, so the degree that I got in the end was dance with drama, because I did music electives as well. So I did more dance than I did drama. And it was in Crewe and Alsager. The campus was in Crewe and Alsager. So it's a split campus. It's all been knocked down now. There's nothing there. It's all overgrown. It's really sad. It's actually really like tragic.
So you love dance. You did dance at uni and drama. What was it like? Like, did you see yourself change a lot in those kind of 3 years?
Yes, immeasurably. I had been, apart from learning what actual dance technique was and how to be present and in the room rather than, you know, in your head. I'm a real cerebral person. So it's very easy for me to get lost inside my own head, which, you know, if you watch Drag Race, you'll be able to see that, that I, you know, and that's part of the anxiety and all of those things. So at university, I just became much better at articulating myself than I had been before. You know, before I would just go, fuck off. Whereas now I'll say, listen, I think you have a problem with, So I don't think you should be here speaking to me. Goodbye. You know, I still tell people to fuck off. Of course I do every now and again because they deserve it. But
Sure.
I became much more capable of organizing my own thoughts and also communicating those. So I'd always been a reasonably articulate person, but our course, even though it's a practical subject, was very academic.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of writing, there was a lot of reading, which sounds ridiculous. I went to university to do drama and dance and ended up spending 70% of my time writing essays and reading books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so that anybody who's running those courses knows, that's really disappointing when you arrive. That's not what anybody wants. Nobody in the entire world wants to go to university to do drama and dance to write essays. Just so we're clear about that.
How do you think
That's
that
what
felt?
I said as well. I said that about my degree. I did music, and I was there like, I am writing more than I am singing or playing. Are you taking the piss?
Yeah.
And as like, so you kind of came to terms with your sexuality quite young. Was there any kind of development in uni, or were you kind of like for quite comfortable by the age of 18?
I mean, I'd always been very comfortable because I'd always just been sort of the opinion that I'm not going to be with these people forever. So I will be miserable now because I'm with these people who are vile and, you know, but they're going to be stuck here, you know, because the kids who treat you like that are unfortunately the kids who've got really disordered home lives and they have their own shit and all they're doing is projecting that onto you. So you look at these kids and you go, well, you're in the bottom set for everything and you're having a go at me. Well, I don't really need to worry about what you think because I know in 2 years' time, I'm going to be able to go and do something and you're going to be here still. So sucks to be you. Sucks to be me right now, but I'm not facing 50 years of what you are. Bye. So I was always kind of very mercenary about that sort of stuff. University though, because there was a large arts department, but then the sports science department was massive. And of course, you've got all of these sports kids who are just arseholes. It was horrible, you know, genuinely, it was horrible. We'd always be in like a corner away from them all. I never went in the main room because it's just barbaric. And if I went for a piss, they'd be like pushing me and jabbing me and, you know, and saying shit. So it was like, you know, I took a year off in between A-levels and university, partly because of that. I just needed to give myself some time to heal from school because it was barbaric, you know. I had great friends, but the rest of the school was barbaric. So I'd taken time off and then going back into it, you know, you're experiencing those same things again. Not everybody though, you know, there was some of the jocks who would go to the gym, really lovely. I mean, particularly this one Irish guy. Holy shit, I wish he'd fucked me so bad. But I mean, Christ. Oh, talk about
There's always one,
knickers.
isn't there?
Talk about wet knickers. Every time I saw him, I was like, oh, please, daddy. I mean, for real. He was massive as well, like 6'5", and then everything matched up in those shorts. Crikey O'Reilly.
Perfect man.
I mean, for real, yeah. Irish, dark hair, massive shalongadong. But anyway, I digress.
Keep going down that hole, that's fine.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
thinking
David.
about him going down my hole. That's what I was thinking about. So, you know, not everybody was like that, but there was definitely still that. And it's because a lot of people, it's their first time away from home. We were never treated like, we were never mollycoddled. Everything was hard, you know? if you'd done something wrong, you got told you'd done it wrong. You need to do this. And we were always sent out to go away, do this, go do something. So we were made a bit tougher and a bit more thoughtful about other people because of that. Which I think a lot of people at 18, you're still kind of trying to navigate that. Who am I? How am I supposed to interact with these other people? And then there's this pack mentality as well, you know, that it's just part of the, which is just, I mean, generally that's just damaging for everybody. That's why male rates of suicide are so high, because we don't teach men how to talk about their emotions, and we don't teach them how to behave in an empathetic way. Which if we did, you know, there would be a lot less of everything bad.
Yeah, literally. The world would be a better place.
It would. Let's just get a load more Jacinda Ardern. That'd be great. Please, thanks.
So where does Divina come into all this? Like, where was she born? How old is she? You know?
Yeah, well, Divina herself is about 6 or... No, she's probably about 10 now. But I had been doing... I'd been doing drag, but not really thinking about it as drag at university. So whenever there was a costume party, I would go in drag, but not realise that it was drag, because I was sort of cosplaying rather than doing drag. I mean, I'd had in terms of costuming and cosplay, I didn't know what that was. I wasn't doing that. I was like singing Italian arias and singing in choirs and doing musical theatre. And so I didn't even know what any of this stuff was. And it was before YouTube was a thing, and the internet had literally just been invented, you know, 3-4 years before. It was still going, and your mum comes home and goes, "Who's on their phone? Get off their phone!" So all of that stuff was still really young and was just starting to happen. So it was very difficult to kind of find that information unless you're reading it from a book or, you know, a periodical, you know. So I didn't know what I was doing. So I was turning up as like Christina Aguilera in the Moulin Rouge video, or I was going as, I don't know, some kind of female action hero, or, you know, I was doing that. Lara Croft was one of them.
Oh, icon. Shaved
my legs, took me 3.5 hours.
And you're now a drag queen from that. If that's how long it takes you to shave your legs, that's...
I mean, yeah. Now I just wear 500 pairs of tights. Like, I'm not shaving my legs, dude. Like, that's not happening. So I hadn't sort of realised that I was going out in drag, even though I was. And then one of the electives that I took was the politics of performance. And that sort of took me down the route of reading about gender performativity, gender politics, all of those ideas and surrounding kind of influences and those sort of things. And then that fed into the other stuff that I was doing. And it wasn't generally in my work, it was in other people's work, because I was of the opinion that the more I can do and the more I can learn from other people, the better placed I am in the future, because this is not a practical course, you know? So I was very aware that my contemporaries who were at a conservatoire were doing 6 or 7 hours every day of practical work, learning, teaching, and I was not doing that. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to know everything and get as much experience as I possibly could. So while doing that, being in other people's performance pieces, I was doing drag or doing gender fuck, or, you know, so there was lots of kind of gender performance stuff happening in and around what I was reading in other things. And that sort of took me on the drag journey. Mm-hmm. But it was a while before I got there, for definite.
You're talking about like gender fuck and stuff like that. Is that what you I guess it's a really wanky term to say, but like your political awakening happened then, or were you always quite a political person?
I've always been quite political, yeah. But my politics definitely became much fuller while I was at university. So the guy that I was seeing at the time was real Labour. He loads of money. He had loads of money. His family had this big business, and he had a dividend every year from that. He had a great job. He was working all over the world. I was in his phone as Carol. But so he sort of got me a bit more interested in politics, and from there I just got more and more interested in politics.
Like on the show, you talk about Section 28, and so I was, what age was that? I must have been 18 in 2009. So I got it a little bit because we couldn't talk about it in primary school. It was never a thing. But it was sort of like hinted at, because we're also a Catholic school, so you couldn't say anything.
Yeah. Let's not talk about homosexuality, but just come with me, young man.
But did you, like, is that something you were aware of, Section 28 stuff?
Yeah, it was actually, because I was really, really lucky. Kirklees ran a gay group for young LGBT.
Oh, amazing.
People. Yeah. So every Wednesday there was group. So I think I was 16. I think I was like 16 when I started to go into group, but you could be 14, but I didn't know it was happening, because none of that information was allowed in school. And they also gave us a much better understanding of what the legislation was around gay people, and just a history, and it also gave us the chance to meet other gay people who were 15, 16, 17, 18, so that you don't feel so isolated, because when you're the only queen in school, which I clearly wasn't, like everybody else came out after the fact, you bastards. But when you're the only queen in school, it's very isolating. And especially when you're like the screaming queen in school. And then I can understand why all of these people didn't come out, because, you see all the flack that I'm getting and you go, I don't want that for me.
Nope. No, thank you.
She can keep that.
See, I had the same thing. I was the only one. I came out at 14, all the way through until I was finished 6th year. We say it different in Scotland, and people constantly are like, what's a 6th year? And it's nobody. I swear to God, the moment they left that building, there was about 30 of them were like, oh, by the way, I was gay. And I'm like, you could have told me, love. Like, I've been sitting here like a barren wasteland. Something could have happened,
Thinking, I'd really like to suck your dick. What?
Exactly.
And now you tell me?
As I say, I was a wee fat boy with a bowl cut, so So this is not so much a podcast question, more of a genuine question, because my entire life was sort of New Labour. Do you know what I mean? I was 6 when they get in, so my whole school life was a Labour life, and I was really shocked actually when Tories get in. Like, everyone else was like, actually, by the way, it's kind of normal, but I was like, what are you all doing? You're mental. What was that like as a queer kid growing up in such a kind of, it was a very, very anti-gay government?
Yeah, really anti-gay. I mean, you'd had Thatcher, who was literally saying, the inalienable right to be gay. Fuck off, you stupid old magic. It was genuinely horrendous. That doesn't mean that all the teachers were horrendous, though. And they did sneak things in. When I think about how brave our English department was, with the material that they were putting out there, we had these amazing teachers. Mrs. Moffat was the one who sort of stood out for me. She talked about sex all the time. She was outrageous, hilarious, bonkers. We did A Taste of Honey, which clearly has a gay character in it. And she would talk about it. And Mr. Kennedy, just the English department, I mean, most gay kids anyway, have an English teacher to thank for the fact that they've not killed themselves. You know, if you've not topped yourself, it's usually because there is a teacher in the English department who is just brilliant and gets it and understands that the world is not black and white. There are all these multitudes of shades of colour in there. So I was really, really lucky to have great teachers. The kids were horrendous because that's what was being reinforced all the time. And we'd had all these adverts about about AIDS, you know, where the AIDS is going, destroying lives, killing whole you know, all this shite. And that created that environment. It made a very easy scapegoat of gay people. And we're seeing now the Tories are playing exactly the same game, but with trans people, you know, so we're seeing exactly the same pattern, but, let's find a real small subject of the community and let's focus all of our hatred and anger on them.
That's what really fucks me off with gay people that don't really support trans people, because it's like, how short is your fucking memory? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
how short do you think that is not just you 20 years ago? Like,
and also that it doesn't then lead to you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because that's just the start. That's how it all works. We start with them, we create the division, and then we move on. And 5-6 years ago, the Evangelical Church in America wrote it down. They said, our express intention is to separate the LGBTQ community. They wrote it down as one of their mission statements. And that's exactly what they're doing. You know, this whole TERF malarkey, they've rejected it in America because feminists know that actually what you're arguing for by saying that trans people don't exist, trans women don't exist, because trans men very rarely come into the conversation. Why is that? Who knows? The arguments that they're using are exactly the same as the evangelical far right, which is that these are what you are. You know, so you have to be these things in order to be a woman. So actually, that is the complete antithesis of feminism. Feminism is that you do not have to be any of these things. That is not a thing. The entire point of feminism is that you can make the choices in your life to be whatever it is you want. So it's a real, it's a nonsensical argument. And then also this bullshit about the danger in bathrooms and men will use it to get into bathrooms. Well, let's have a look at the evidence, because trans people have been able to use their preferred bathroom or facility since 2004, their preferred changing room or bathroom. So where's the huge influx? Where's the huge rise in this violence that you didn't need a GRC to do that? You didn't need a gender recognition certificate to go for a piss. You just had to say, okay, this is my preferred place. So where is that huge? There isn't one. And why isn't there one? Because your argument is bullshit. That's why. And so you roll it back and you go, well, so it starts with them and then actually it feeds on to us, because it is exactly the same arguments that we were hearing in the 80s and 90s about gay people. Exactly the same.
The thing that really fucked me off was I saw the stat of, like, I think it's 1 in 5 trans people are homeless at one point in their life. And I was just like, I cannot sit and like happily see that happen again. I'm just a tiny little part of it, do you know what I mean? But it's why I help with Student Pride. It's why, like, I want to make sure that that's an open environment for everybody, so that we're not dealing with a shit again, where some, you know, cropped up little gay boy that thinks because he got a wee bit more rights than he did last week, thinks that he can get away with treating trans person the way that someone else would treated him 20 years ago.
And that they won't be just taken away like that, because they absolutely can be. And all you have to do is look at the GRC consultation where it was massively in favour of making it easier for trans people to self-identify. You know, we're talking like in the 70%. And yet they have just ignored it because it doesn't fit with what the Conservatives have wanted. You know, they've gone, oh, well, it's been skewed because trans people have answered it. Well, of course trans people have answered it. It's about them. Uni was a big point in my life where I started to become more interested in politics. I didn't have as deep an understanding as I do now. And some of that is because you just need time. You need time to understand not only everybody's kind of political agenda, but also the economic impact of that, the impact on health, the impact on education, the impact on law and order, social services, and how, because all of these things interact with each other and have an impact on each other. And you just need more time because it's just too much to pull all of those threads together when you're 18 and you're trying to, you know, go out, party, drink as much as you can and dance and do all the things that you're supposed to do. Sow the wild oats. Yeah.
Is there any wild oat stories that you could tell us? Oh no, even better. What's the wild oatest story that you can tell?
The wildest. Okay, so the night that we graduated, the night of graduation, I got so drunk, and whatever bar we went in, I was getting off with somebody. It didn't matter where it was, whether it was a straight bar or a gay bar, just got off with somebody, whoever. Oh, hello, kiss me. And then we went to Poptastic, because that was still a thing in Manchester. We went to Poptastic, and James, my best mate, he was also in Manchester that night, and he said it was one of the most incredible things he'd ever seen, because I just went round the room getting off with everybody. He said in the space of about 10 minutes, I got off with 20 different people. And I was getting off with this one guy. I just sort of inserted myself between him and his mate who was chatting, got off with him, and then turned around and got off with his mate.
I think I just watched that episode of The God Thing, The Queen, where Vinegar's going round the club kind of kissing 25 guys. That was me. Yeah.
I wish that was me.
Yeah.
And I still don't get any ulcers or what are they called? What are the warts on your face?
Cold sores?
Cold sores. I still don't get any cold sores. Touch wood, touch wood, touch wood, touch wood.
When you became Divina full-time, going off of the kind of political thing, that's quite a political thing to be a drag queen. And I've always thought, what was that like, that kind of first time of you're officially Divina de Campo and you're doing this full time? What was that kind of road up to all your successes?
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time to get to that place anyway, because obviously I'd done a contemporary arts degree. So my approach to making work was contemporary art. So it was a bit more cerebral. It was a bit more difficult. That doesn't necessarily work in a pub environment. Anybody starting out, don't try and put a contemporary art performance on stage in a pub. They won't enjoy it. So it took me a while to get out of that sort of theatre mindset and into a cabaret mindset. It's a very different animal, and it wasn't something that I was used to doing. So it took a long time. And I've been asked this week, you know, when was the first time that Divina performed? And I don't honestly know, because originally my name was Madame Farcina. She talk like this. She's total Italian, and she's singing all the Italian arias. And like, I mean, at 10:30 on an evening, people couldn't give a shit about O'Dell. You know, they don't want that. me going, "Ah!" They're like, where's Rihanna? This is shite. Which they're correct. They are correct. It is not the right place. So, yeah, that took a long time. So we killed her off. A chandelier dropped on her head and she died. Oh, bad times. It took longer than it should have done.
Rest in peace, darling.
Yeah, sorry. Bye, Farcina. Ta-ra. So then when Divina became Divina, I was working at a nightclub that my now husband ran, which shut down now, gone, called The Factory. And it was the sort of first 6-9 months of being there that I changed my name and became Divina de Campo. And we did a Name the Drag Queen competition, and everybody's names were just pure shite. They were awful. You know, they were like
bag of chips.
Behave, David.
They were like Poppy Stockings or Philomena Arse. You know, they were just awful, really gross, and really tacky shite names. And I just thought, I don't think that's really what I want. I want something that tells people what it is that they're going to get. So I always sing some opera or some classical music in my set, but I always like phrase it as, I've got to do this because it's part of my contract, which it actually is. It's not. And then we sing loads of party stuff, and I'll do rewrites, and it's camp. So you're going to get the Italian from Divina, and then you're going to get the camp from De Campo. So, you know, the name kind of tells you what it is that you're going to get. And I think that's important as a drag queen. So if I was going out as like Dixie Normus, well, I would expect Dixie Normus to be singing lots of country and western songs because you're called Dixie.
If you could go back, you're 18-year-old, is there anything you would do differently?
Oh, God. Is there anything I would do differently? I would make a choice earlier. Make the choice. I spent a lot, I mean, I had a lot of amazing experiences through my 20s. Like, really, really super lucky. Also lots of shit things, but lots of amazing opportunities and experiences and projects and stuff like that. But they weren't necessarily targeted. So if I had made a choice to be a bit more targeted about working in drag, I think I would have been much further on than I am.
How much more further on can you be?
I'd have taken over the world, girl. Exactly. I'd have taken over by now. There would not have needed to be any RuPaul's Drag Race, because it would have been mine. And that's you know, reality. If I'd spent more time really targeted working in that one area, I think I would be much further on than I am. But I wouldn't have the same range of skills and background knowledge that I do now, you know. So it's a real difficult toss-up, because, you know, everything that you do and everything that you experience, that creates who you are. I probably would have left my boyfriend at the time then. I tried to leave him when I was 18, but he was not well. He'd had a mental breakdown, and so I stayed with him for another 2 years until he was at a point emotionally and, you know, where I felt like, okay, he's at a point now where he's strong enough that he doesn't need me now. And I have got to get out of this relationship, actually, because it's making me crazy.
Like, not an arselick at all, but like that says so much about you as a person that you can sit and do that for 2 years.
Well, he was threatening to kill himself, so, and he'd had a breakdown. We were together like that first year. We were together. 6 months in, he had a breakdown, and was just really like all over the place emotionally. And then I tried to leave him when I went to university. I was like, now's the time. We just need to, we've had a great time, but you know, now is the time. And he was not in the place where that would be possible. And it's not that he was horrible, or he just had a lot of his own issues, and was very controlling because he had his own issues, you know. So because of his own insecurities, he was very controlling. And, you know, when you're at uni and you're trying to do everything, you know, you're trying to learn as much as you possibly can, read as much as you can, be in as many different things as you can, because this opportunity only happens now. You know, you can't wake up again in 5 years and go, oh, you know what, I should do all of that again, and this time I'll do it right. And so he was pressuring me for time, and I've always been very sort of focused on work, you know. So so we got to the point where I felt like he was all right, and right, now's the time, girl. Bye.
How did that conversation go?
I mean, it was awful. It was awful for both of us. It was absolutely the right time, though.
So you've been doing Divina for 10 years. What's it like, the difference? So you say drag sort of on and off for like since uni. What's the difference from then to now? Like,
massive, absolutely massive. Yeah, part of that is the effect of RuPaul's Drag Race, and then part of it is the effect of the internet itself. You know, just the fact that now it is so much easier to get things. You know, so like just getting eyebrow wax. So I don't have eyebrows anymore. I shave them off because it saves 20 minutes every time I have to get into drag. So I'm like, oh, I'm from Yorkshire. I ain't wasting no time. But even just getting eyebrow wax, you know, that used to be so hard 10 years ago. You had to go, the web pages didn't work properly, and you had to send in like an email form, and then like paying for things was, you had to ring up. And whereas now, 2 clicks, got it, done, you know. And you want to learn how to do a cut crease? There's 500 different tutorials on YouTube to teach you. You want to do a smoky eye? Same. You want to do like a club kid face? There are millions of different options for you to choose from now. That was not the case back then. And like the social media that 15 years ago when I was starting was MySpace. If you ever used MySpace and you tried to look at somebody's profile, it took like 5 minutes for their page to load up, because every fucker was putting like dancing flowers and goddamn rainbows and all this shite going on in the background. So just the amount of scripts that was going on was insane. So it took, and of course the download speed was like, well, it's like the internet that I've got in Gran Canaria. It's like carrier pigeon, you know. There's some little fucking creatures bringing each little pixel and going, oh, there we go, trundle back, get another, oh, there you go. So it just took forever. Like everything took forever to find out. Trying to watch a video was impossible. Like it was hard enough to just get a picture to load up. So getting a video was like, it took forever. So now you don't have that. You just have instant access to all of this information and this wealth of different places to draw inspiration from. So in some ways, that's great because it allows you to build up those skills. In other ways, I think it can squash your genuine creativity. Because a lot of the time what you're doing is you're looking at what other people have done and not mimicking it, but you're not doing your own thing. You know, you're doing what they did, but in your own way, rather than thinking, okay, what is it that I actually want to say? And then just working from that. Swings and roundabouts, isn't it? But it is so much easier now to do drag, just to find stuff. It's so much easier. In terms of what people do, that's a bit different, than 10 years ago. There's a lot more focus on the look than there was 10 years ago. It was enough, literally, to be Derek from Burnley in a gold sequin frock with a blonde beehive that you bought from Smithy's and some budgie blue and some lipstick on, as long as you got on stage and you were entertaining.
Well, I think we've took up enough of your time, Davina. I think we've got...
Hang on, I've got one question.
Okay.
Right.
Reese hasn't asked a single question.
It's my time to talk
I
now.
just chatted shit the entire time.
Literally, you two can have a chat. I'll just listen. My question for you is, so you were on The Voice and you were on All Together Now. Did that prepare you for Drag Race?
Nothing you ever do in your entire life will ever prepare you for Drag Race. Nothing at all could. It is the most insane experience I've ever had. The amount of pressure is crazy. And there is probably yes, I probably would. Because this time I don't think I'd be such a mental case. I was so anxious about it, about not making an ass out of myself or the UK, because I was really conscious of this is the first time the world is going to see UK drag in this time, apart from Mrs. Brown's Boys. So it's important that we don't, it is, like RuPaul says, don't fuck it up. It's really important, actually, that we don't. Partly because as the first set of queens out of the gate, if you do fuck it up, you fucked it up for season 2, you fucked it up for season 3 and season 4 and season 5 and season 6, because maybe they don't get to happen. So I piled the pressure on myself, whereas now I'd be like, well, I don't need to worry about you lot. This is about me now. I can just have a nice time.
Is there anything you'd like to mention beforehand? Anything just before we finish up?
Well, I should tell you, because otherwise I'll get, booted out of management. I should tell you that on Friday the 20th, I have got an EP that is on release. It's called Red and Silver. It's a 4-track release, 3 originals and a retelling of the 12 Days of Christmas. I have a Christmas special, which is with Fruit TV. That is called Red and Silver Christmas. Oh, did you see what I did there? And then I also have my one-woman tour, which is all around the UK in December. Fingers crossed, Boris. Please don't fuck me over.
Thank you so much, Davina. Honestly, I've had the best time.
I've had a lovely time as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to get you at Student Pride properly and the actual...
Sorry.
Yeah, now you're here, we'll be getting you somewhere.
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you very much and see ya.
Lots of love to you both. Thank you so much.
Lovely meeting you, darling.
You too. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Davina is such a laugh, right? It was so wonderful to speak to her today. It's great to know that we all kind of live such similar lives at university. Next week we have the stunning Campbell Kenneford. The trans model and activist shares how she responded to trolls online, the education and barriers for trans people, as well as discrimination within the community. All our episodes go live on Thursdays, so subscribe to the podcast to get notified and make sure you don't miss a thing. And don't forget, tickets are now available for National Student Pride 2021. Just head to our website, studentpride.co.uk, and get your free tickets now to our week-long event starting April 19th. Until next week, I'm Morgan. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week for more sweet, sweet ASMR voiceovers. Bye!